Let me start by saying this. If family favoritism were an Olympic sport, my parents would have taken gold. Every year. With bonus points for style. Growing up, my older brother Mason was basically treated like the second coming of sliced bread. Not just sliced, toasted. Buttered. Served on a silver tray with applause. Me? I was the off-brand loaf in the back of the pantry, 2 days from expiration. He played varsity everything, got a trophy for showing up, and once received a standing ovation at Thanksgiving just for announcing he was going into real estate. I literally rebuilt my high school's busted computer lab with my own laptop, and my parents said, "That's nice, Eli." Every family event was the Mason show. And I was the stagehand who wasn't allowed to speak into the mic. But hey, I got used to it. I'm not bitter, just hyper-aware. Fast forward to my 27th birthday. My parents texted me a few days earlier. "Dinner at our place. Party Popper got something big for you." Big? My expectations hovered somewhere between a used button-up and a Best Buy gift card. Still, a part of me hoped. Maybe this was the year. Maybe they finally saw me. The real me, the one who wasn't loud or flashy but who showed up, worked hard, paid rent, and never asked for anything. I showed up with a 6-pack of craft beer and the kind of hope that makes you feel stupid before anything even happens. The whole backyard was decked out like a Pinterest board. String lights, balloons, even a banner that read, "Happy Birthday, Eli." I was halfway through thinking, wow, they really tried this year, when Dad clinked a wine glass. "We've got an announcement," he said, grinning wide. "You know how Mason's been saving up and really grinding with his real estate stuff?" I froze. "Please no." "Surprise!" Mom shouted. "We're gifting him the lake house." Applause. Real, actual applause. I looked around and everyone was beaming like they just witnessed a proposal. Even Aunt Denise teared up. Mason pulled out the key like he just won the Super Bowl and held it in the air. Then Mom turned to me. "But don't worry, Eli, we didn't forget you." She handed me a lottery ticket. One of those $5 scratchers from a gas station. "It's a joke gift." Dad laughed. "But hey, who knows? You might strike it rich." Mason snorted and mumbled something like, "Better odds than getting a girlfriend." Everyone laughed. I didn't. I took the ticket. Stared at it for a second too long. Smiled tightly. "Thanks," I said. I wasn't going to cause a scene. That's never been my thing. I was the kid who swallowed things down. Quietly. While everyone else clinked glasses, I sat there chewing my cake, pretending it didn't taste like concrete mixed with frosting. But something in me cracked that night. Not loudly. Not visibly. Just cracked. I left early, made some excuse about needing to work the next day. No one stopped me. No one noticed. I got into my beat-up sedan and drove home with the stupid scratcher burning a hole in my pocket. When I got to my apartment, the same one I've been renting for 6 years, with a leaky faucet and neighbors who think 2 a.m. is drum solo hour, I threw the ticket on the counter and stared at it. It glittered under the kitchen light, taunting me. Part of me wanted to rip it in half just to prove a point. But I didn't. I just left it there. Like a dare. And all night, I couldn't sleep. I wasn't thinking about money. I wasn't even thinking about Mason. I was thinking about what it meant that my entire family thought that was funny. I stared at that ticket for 3 days. Didn't scratch it. Didn't throw it out. Just kept shifting it around the apartment like it was a cursed object from a horror movie. First the kitchen counter. Then the nightstand. Then inside a book called Mindful Detachment, which was ironic since I was neither mindful nor detached. At work, I was running on fumes. I'm a sysadmin for a mid-sized logistics company, not glamorous, but steady. I troubleshoot servers, reset passwords for people who shouldn't be allowed near computers, and pretend I don't notice when my manager steals credit for my solutions during team meetings. The Monday after my birthday, I walked into the break room, and Mason's face was on my coworker's phone. "Your brother?" he asked. I nodded slowly. "He's live on Instagram. Giving a tour of the lake house," Already? Dude's got a cigar in one hand and a glass of something in the other. Said your parents finally rewarded hustle. Hustle. That word stuck to me like gum on a shoe. Because if anyone in our family knew about hustle, it was me. While Mason flipped between career phases, like TV channels, I held down 2 jobs in college. Built my resume like a fortress. Learned to fix things before I could afford to replace them. But sure, reward the guy with the drone footage and a jawline. That night I came home, made boxed mac and cheese, and sat down in my folding chair, the one my parents said gave the place character, and looked at the ticket again. It was quiet. I didn't have music playing. No TV. Just me, the cheap dinner, and a stupid scratcher that was starting to feel like a metaphor. I grabbed a quarter from the drawer. Slowly. Like I was disarming a bomb. First number, $10. Second, $100. Third, $1,000. My heart started racing. Not because I believed I could win, but because it felt like fate was mocking me. And then it appeared. $150 million. I blinked. I scratched again. Matched 3 symbols. I stared at it like it might disappear if I looked away. No confetti. No music. Just the sound of my neighbor upstairs vacuuming at 9:47 p.m. I walked to the sink, splashed water on my face, then stared at the mirror. Was this a prank? Was the universe trying to gaslight me? I flipped the ticket over. Read every word. Tiny font. Validation process. Claims center. It was real. And I started laughing. Not out of joy, not yet. But that weird, shaky kind of laugh you make when the world just tilts. I sat back down. Still holding the coin. Still tasting powdered cheese. And in that moment, I didn't think about quitting my job. Or buying a mansion. Or flying to Bora Bora. I thought about my parents handing Mason a house with a speech, and handing me a joke. I thought about the party guests who clapped for him and chuckled at me. I thought about my mom's face when she said, "Who knows? You might get lucky." Oh, Mom. You don't even know. I didn't tell anyone that night. Didn't call. Didn't text. Just stared at the ticket on the table like it was a loaded gun, and I wasn't sure who I wanted to aim it at first. The next morning, I called in sick. I drove to the claims office in a hoodie, baseball cap, and sunglasses like a low-budget celebrity. I submitted the ticket, gave them all the paperwork, and confirmed I wanted to stay anonymous. They confirmed the win. With zero emotion. Just a firm handshake and a congratulations like I'd opened a savings account, not changed the course of my entire life. A lawyer walked me through the next steps. I listened. Nodded. Took notes. Then drove home in the same beat-up sedan, parked it in the same crappy lot, and walked into the same squeaky door department. And just as I sat down again, my phone buzzed. A family group text. Mason's having a housewarming Saturday. Hope you can make it. Mason. Gonna be wild. Got a hot tub delivered today, smiling face with sunglasses, bottle with popping cork. Dad. Your brother earned this, Eli. You should celebrate him too. I stared at the screen. Then smiled. Because I finally had something worth celebrating. And not a single one of them knew what was coming. Saturday arrived like a bad sequel. I wasn't planning to go to Mason's housewarming. Honestly, I figured I'd just stay home, order Thai food, and rewatch The Office for the 400th time. But something in me itched. Not curiosity. Not even pettiness. Just unfinished business. I had a front row seat to a family that loved to celebrate the son they chose. The one who fit their brand. And now that I was holding a $150 million ace up my sleeve, part of me wanted to walk into their perfect little real estate fantasy and take notes. Observe. Remember. No announcements. No fireworks. Just presents. I showed up 30 minutes late, wearing a plain black t-shirt and jeans. Casual. Unthreatening. Still driving the same car with a cracked windshield and an air freshener that had long since given up. Mason's new house looked like someone Googled. Aspiring influencer starter pack. White walls, gold accents, neon sign in the living room that read Manifest It. A tray of macarons sat untouched next to a champagne pyramid that was already slightly leaning. I knocked. Mason opened the door, sunglasses on indoors, drink in hand. He looked me up and down like I was a DoorDash guy who forgot the sauce. "Oh. You came," he said. "You invited me." "I mean, technically, Mom did." I stepped past him before the passive aggression fully bloomed. Inside, our parents were already bragging to their friends. I heard Dad say, "We always knew Mason had potential. He's a visionary." Cool. When I built an open-source tool that got picked up by a tech firm, they said, "You've always liked your little gadgets." I made my way to the kitchen. Mason's girlfriend, Britt, was there, all lip gloss and fake concern. She gave me the kind of smile you give someone who just walked in with toilet paper on their shoe. "Oh my God, Eli! I didn't know you were still in town." "I live 10 minutes from here." Right. "Still doing, like, computer things?" "I work in systems administration." She nodded blankly, already texting someone. By the time I made it to the back patio, the party was in full networking mode. Realtors, influencers, a guy who claimed to be a crypto life coach. Mason was showing people around like he built the place with his bare hands. When he got to the hot tub, he clapped loudly. "Best part of the place, right here." Dad said I deserved a little luxury. Mom chimed in. "We always say, reward effort. Mason's been working so hard." And then she looked at me. "You know, Eli, you could take a few notes from your brother." "Oh? Notes? Like how to play the family lottery?" I smiled. "Thanks. I'll keep that in mind." Dad handed me a solo cup and patted my shoulder like I was a backup quarterback. "You'll get there, son. Some people are just late bloomers." I almost laughed. I wasn't a late bloomer. I was a garden they never watered, then blamed for not growing. I sipped my drink. Stayed quiet. Watched. Logged every comment into a mental file titled, "The Reason They'll Regret This." And then came the moment that really did it. Grandma. She'd been quiet all night, sitting in the corner of the patio, watching everything unfold with those hawk-like eyes of hers. She beckoned me over. I sat beside her, expecting small talk. Instead, she said, "They don't see you." "But I do." I blinked. "What?" "You're the one who fixes things. Pays bills on time. Showed up when I fell last year. Mason's too busy taking selfies to notice anyone but himself." I swallowed. She reached into her bag and handed me a folded piece of paper. It was a recipe. Her cornbread. My favorite. "I'm not leaving money. Just instructions," she said. "I trust you more with that than with a house key." And just like that, I felt everything shift. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't invisible. I was just in the wrong room. But not for long. Because I had an idea. Not revenge. Not yet. Something better. A seed. One I'd water slowly. Silently. Until it bloomed in front of them. After the housewarming, I went home and stared at my ceiling for a long time. Not out of confusion, but calculation. See, when people win the lottery in movies, they buy a yacht, quit their job mid-Zoom call, and scream, "I'm rich!" at strangers in traffic. Me? I made a spreadsheet. No, really. I opened Excel, sat there in my boxers, and built a full-blown financial plan. Because what's better than revenge? Sustained, well-budgeted revenge. I hired a financial advisor the next morning, not the kind with Instagram ads and car selfies, but the kind who makes millionaires stay millionaires. Then I got a lawyer, an accountant, and a burner phone for good measure. Everything went into a trust. Quiet. Clean. Eli Weston was not going to be on any Forbes list. Not yet. I took the lump sum after taxes, a little under $90 million, and I didn't touch a cent of it for 2 weeks. Just watched. Listened. Planned. It started small. I called my landlord and bought the building. Outright. Then I let him keep managing it, gave him a raise, and upgraded my own apartment with new floors, fresh paint, and finally, a faucet that didn't sound like it was coughing to death. The neighbors had no idea. I still parked in my usual spot, wore my usual hoodie, and picked up takeout like a broke tech guy. But every move I made was deliberate. Like when I drove past Mason's new place and noticed the "for sale" signs around the neighborhood. The lots hadn't been claimed yet, just empty land waiting for the next influencer to throw a deposit down. So I made a few calls. Then I made a few offers. Then I bought the 3 empty properties surrounding Mason's house. Through a shell company. With plans to develop. Not with loud tenants or wild construction crews. Just gardening. Landscaping. A peaceful community garden here. A dog park there. A discreet co-op apartment for quiet long-term tenants, one of whom would be my friend Tyler, a drummer who practices shirtless at odd hours and owns 6 parrots. I didn't want to ruin Mason's life. I wanted him to feel confused. Nervous. Like the universe was shifting and he couldn't name why. Meanwhile, our family group chat was still a non-stop highlight reel of Mason's every sneeze. Mason got featured in Realtor Monthly. Dad, my boy's going places. Eli, did you see it? I replied with a thumbs up. Then muted the thread. My parents still thought I was between opportunities. I let them believe I was budgeting frozen pizza and hunting job boards. Meanwhile, I was negotiating with architects and studying zoning laws like bedtime stories. But the best part? They didn't even ask how I was doing. Not once. No. How's work? No. Need anything? Just occasional requests for help when their printer stopped working or Netflix logged out. And every time I showed up, smiled, fixed it, let them believe I was still desperate for their crumbs. Because they hadn't noticed I had built the entire table. One day, while helping Dad reset the Wi-Fi, which literally meant turning the router off and on again, he said, "You should ask your brother for advice. He's killing it." I smiled. "Yeah. Maybe I will." He nodded like he'd passed down ancient wisdom. Then asked me to take out the trash. I did. Happily. Because I knew something he didn't. The land next to Mason's house? Yeah. It was now slated for a dog rescue sanctuary and a community pottery studio. And the building I just bought downtown? It was the same office his girlfriend Britt used to rent for her lifestyle coaching collective. Her lease? Expired last month. And the new rate I was setting? Well, let's just say the universe is expensive when you're fake deep and short on clients. I wasn't being petty. I was just clearing the board. Piece by piece. And none of them even saw the game. 3 weeks after the housewarming party, I got a text from my mom that said, "Can you help Mason?" His mortgage app glitched. Glitched. Sure. Like the paperwork itself spontaneously combusted. I ignored it for an hour. Then called Mason, just to hear the panic in stereo. "Bro," he said before even saying hello, "something's wrong with my banking portal. My autopay bounced, and the HOA's on my case about the noise." Noise? Some lunatic next door adopted 6 parrots. 6? Who needs 6 parrots? Oh wow, I said, sipping coffee. Must be tough. And now there's some community garden thing happening? On the other side? They're setting up yoga mats like it's Burning Man. That sounds healthy. He sighed. I'm surrounded. I can't even park my car without a drum circle happening. Did you talk to the HOA? They're weirdly excited about it. Said the neighborhood's gaining artisanal charm. I don't even know what that means. I almost choked on my coffee. Artisanal charm. Tyler was probably shirtless watering succulents while his parrots screamed motivational quotes from the porch. I offered to look into the mortgage glitch and hung up. Didn't touch a thing, of course. The next week, Mason texted again. "Dude, Britt's lease got tripled. She thinks the landlord's targeting her." I replied. Maybe she should manifest a better square footage. Then muted the thread. Meanwhile, I was busy finalizing something much bigger, something personal. I bought the old bakery 2 blocks from my parents' house. Why? Because my mom used to dream of opening her own brunch cafe there. Even toured it once. Back in the day, before Mason needed tuition help and drained their savings. She mentioned it every Christmas. It had so much charm. I had the whole menu in my head. So I bought it. Quietly. Through a third party. Then I fixed it up. Installed new windows. Refurbished the wood floors. I didn't put my name on it, not yet. I just put a tiny sign on the front that read, "Coming soon." 2 days later, Mom called. "Eli! You'll never believe it, someone's reopening the old cafe." I feigned surprise. "No way. I hope it's someone local. Someone with taste. Oh, I'm sure they know exactly what they're doing." And then, cherry on top, I made sure she walked by during renovations and saw a peek of the menu I had printed in the window. Same exact one she'd sketched years ago and showed me once, on a rainy afternoon when she thought nobody believed in her anymore. I didn't say a word. Just gave her a gift she wouldn't even realize was from me. Because that's who I used to be. The quiet kid. The fixer. The one who listened. But now, I was still quiet. Still calm. I just had a few more tools in the shed. Back in Mason's world, chaos was bubbling. Britt posted a rant on Instagram about landlord injustice, and how people were trying to silence her vision. It got 42 likes and one sarcastic comment from a dog named Waffles. I screenshotted it. Saved it. Laughed. Dad texted me. "You been watching Mason's Girl Spiral? Sad?" I typed, deleted, then finally sent. "Everyone manifests what they deserve." No reply. I could tell he was starting to feel it, not just the mess, but the weirdness. The shift. The quiet friction between their golden son and the world they once handed him on a silver platter. And the best part? No one knew it was me. No dramatic reveal. No evil laugh. Just subtle chess moves from the background. The overlooked son. The joke. The one with the lottery ticket and a memory like a steel trap. It started with a typo. Or at least, that's what I pretended. In the family group chat, someone, I think Aunt Marlene, posted a photo of Mason at some speaking event. He stood in front of a rented Lambo, giving a thumbs up, with a quote bubble next to him that read, "Grind now, shine later." Mom captioned it with, "So proud of our rising star. Dizzy Sparkles #Hustle King." I meant to ignore it. Truly. But then my thumb slipped, and I accidentally replied with a screenshot. It was Britt's Instagram meltdown, the one where she ranted about landlords crushing female entrepreneurs, followed by 3 typos, 2 broken hashtags, and one iconic comment from a dog named Waffles that said, "This is why I chew furniture." Silence. The group chat flatlined. Then, finally, Mason popped in with, "What the hell, Eli?" I waited 15 minutes. Made myself a sandwich. Then replied, "Oops. Meant to send that to Tyler. His parrot follows Britt on Instagram." No one laughed. Except Grandma, who reacted with a thumbs up emoji, her very first emoji in group chat history. That alone? Worth it. Then Mom messaged me privately. "Eli, what's going on?" "Going on? You know something. Don't play dumb." I didn't reply. "Not yet." The next morning, Mason called. "No, hey. No, how's it going?" "Just full panic mode." "Okay," he said. "I'm gonna ask you something weird." "Hit me." "Did you buy the lots next to my house?" I leaned back in my chair, coffee in hand, sun creeping through my new floor-to-ceiling windows. Why would I do that? Because it's too coincidental. First the parrots. Then the yoga cult. Now someone's installing wind chimes that won't shut up at night. You sure that's not just karma? Eli. And the Brit thing. Lease doubled? Brutal. Someone should tell her landlords don't care about vision boards. Cut the crap. He snapped. That tone. That condescension. The one I grew up choking on. Do you think I'm stupid? I grinned. Not my place to say. He hung up. 2 hours later, Dad called. I didn't pick up. He left a voicemail that started with, "Listen, young man," and ended with, "If you're meddling in things you don't understand, there will be consequences." Consequences? From the guy who once grounded me for talking back when I corrected him about how Wi-Fi works. Sure. I sent the voicemail to my lawyer just for laughs. Then Grandma called. She didn't ask questions. She just said, "About time someone made some noise." I love her. The old Eli would have panicked right about now. Would have written long apologetic texts, explained himself, begged to be understood. This Eli? He ordered sushi, blocked Brit's burner account, and started planning the cherry on top. See the bakery I bought down the street from my parents? Yeah, it was nearly done. Floors polished. Brunch menu printed. Kitchen prepped. And my favorite part? The framed recipe that would hang near the register. Grandma Lou's cornbread, the only thing warmer than her heart. She'd see it. She'd know. That would be enough. But for the rest of the family? I had something better coming. Not petty. Not loud. Just precise. Because when people finally start to realize the joke's been on them this whole time, you don't need to yell. You just need to smile. And then let the silence speak for you. It all came together faster than I expected. The floors were waxed, the paint had dried, and the sign above the door was ready to be unveiled. I kept everything classy. Minimal. Just black lettering on white. Lou's table. Brunch. Baked goods. Community. Opening day was a Saturday, the exact date Mom used to fantasize about, back when she still dared to have her own dreams. Before the house went to Mason. Before her brunch cafe became, "Maybe next year." I didn't send invites. Didn't post about it online. Just quietly updated the city calendar, listed it on Yelp, and had a few flyers printed that went out through the neighborhood, nowhere near the family group chat. I opened the doors at 8 a.m. sharp. We had a line by 8:12. By 9:15, the patio was full. Someone brought their pug in a bow tie. A guy with a guitar started playing unprompted near the flower beds. It was perfect. And then, at exactly 10:03 a.m., I saw them. Mom. Dad. Mason. They turned the corner like they'd just been summoned by some brunch-scented bat signal. Mom stopped walking first. Stared at the building. Squinted. "That's the old bakery," she said. Mason was already annoyed. "Looks crowded. Why'd they steal your menu?" Dad, hands in pockets, mumbled something about property rights. Then they stepped closer. And saw the name. Lou's table. Mom froze. Grandma's name. Her recipe, now front and center in the window, laminated and framed. Mom's eyes moved to the chalkboard outside, today's specials. Every single one was a dish she once scribbled down on a notepad when she thought no one was paying attention. And then? They saw me. Standing behind the counter. Wearing a black apron and a grin. Mom blinked. "Eli?" I nodded. "Welcome to Lou's." Dad looked like he'd swallowed a lemon. Mason stared like I'd just teleported there from another universe. "You work here?" he asked. I tilted my head. "Something like that." "I don't understand," Mom whispered. "This place, it's mine," I said gently. "Everything here. Mine." She opened her mouth, but before she could say anything else, Grandma appeared from the back kitchen, apron already smudged with cornbread batter, hair tied up like she meant business. She walked straight to the register, wiped her hands, then kissed my cheek. "You didn't tell them?" she asked, smirking. I shrugged. "You know me. Late bloomer." Mason stammered. "You bought a cafe?" Grandma cut in before I could. "No, sweetie. He built it. Quietly. While you were live streaming about ambition." Mom blinked fast, like her brain was buffering. Dad looked around like he was searching for a hidden camera. I just poured myself a coffee, walked to the patio, and sat down. The line kept growing. The music kept playing. And not a single person asked Mason for a selfie. At 10:17 a.m., he walked off. Britt called him just in time, and I swear I heard him say, "Yeah, I don't know what's happening either." At 10:22 a.m., Dad cleared his throat and asked if we had family discounts. Grandma looked at him and said, "We have family recipes." At 10:24 a.m., Mom finally sat down at the table near mine. Hands folded. Silent. She didn't cry. But her eyes said enough. And I didn't gloat. I didn't mock. I just sipped my coffee and watched the sunlight dance across the plates of people enjoying something she once dreamed of, now real. Alive. Breathing. And built by the sun she once handed a scratch-off ticket as a joke. That night, I closed up Lou's with Grandma. She insisted on sweeping, even though we had staff. "Keeps me grounded," she said, pushing the broom like it was a sword. I wiped the last table, then walked over to the register. Taped underneath it, right where no one could see, was that scratcher. Still unscratched. People always assume I cashed it. But I didn't. I never needed to. It was already spent, not in money, but in motivation. That dumb little ticket, handed to me with a smirk and a joke, had become a blueprint. A reminder. A contract between who I was and who I swore I'd become. I peeled it off the register and handed it to Grandma. "You ever want to try your luck?" I said. She smiled. "I already did." Then tucked it into her apron like a family heirloom. The next morning, I got a text from Mason. "You planned this whole thing, didn't you?" I stared at it for a while. Then typed one sentence. "It was your housewarming gift. Delivered. Read." No reply. Later that week, I walked past his place. The parrots were quiet. The yoga mats were gone. Britt had unfollowed half the family. The empire had shifted. Back at Lou's, business kept booming. Locals came for the cornbread, stayed for the quiet magic. Some recognized me. Most didn't. And that was fine. Because I didn't build this to be seen. I built it to stand. Mom eventually came by again. Alone. No photos. No quotes. No hustle king hashtags. Just a quiet woman holding a tray of muffins she'd baked at home. She left them on the counter and said, "For the specials board. If you want." I didn't say anything. Just added them. Next to Grandma's cornbread. And under a tiny chalkboard sign that read, "Some gifts are jokes. Some jokes become gifts."